So 2024 is gone and 2025 is here. So let's review this past year in the real estate market. Okay, welcome back to another video. My name is Cody and I'm a realtor here in Winnipeg, and I would love to help you find your next home, investment property, or even sell your place if you're looking to get out of it. So as 2024 wrapped up, there's 4 things that I wanted to discuss that happened in the market in this past year. And the first one is sort of just a general 2024 market update, and that's that it was better than last year in 2023, but worse than 2020. And so essentially, I think this is going to be sort of our new normal in terms of a market. Inventory was up over 7%, but prices also went up over 6%, which means even with the increase in inventory, things are still selling over asking and more than what they were. Now, last year was a bit of a down year, and so the prices are actually close, if not very similar, to 2022, which means if you bought at that time, you're now maybe getting out of that hole that you were in for 2 or so years. The second point is that the interest rate market had changed dramatically. At the start of the year, there was hints of maybe potentially a couple of rate drops, and the prime target rate was at 5%, and it has since dropped 125 points to 3.75. Now, they've hinted at a couple, maybe potential more drops in the upcoming year, and I think a lot of that will have to do if we have an election called or not. However, we don't want to base our investment or buying our house on what the government decides to do or what the next government decides to do if there is an election. And so with that said, I think it's important to understand that even though the interest rates have come down a little bit and they're at sort of more of what everyone thinks is a reasonable amount, I wouldn't expect them to come down much further. See, there's not really an incentive for the Bank of Canada to lower them more because we've already been at this sort of high inflation period and prices still feel high. A big misunderstanding that people have with inflation is that even though inflation this past year was only around 2%, the year previous it was still 7%, right? And so over that period, prices have gone up 2%, compounded off that 7%, which means they're up even more. I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not going to do the math. But that effect of higher prices is still being felt. And that effect will also be felt in the economy and the job market. And so there's not really an incentive for the government to continue lowering interest rates that much more unless our economy takes a huge hit or dive, which it could, but there's not really an expectation that that's going to happen. Okay, the third thing is that permits for single-family detached homes in Winnipeg were at a historic low last year. The government and the developers are both continuing to target row housing, where it's a bunch of attached homes in a row / townhouses, and attached homes where they build a shared driveway with a shared wall between the two dwellings. Single family detached homes are becoming more of a rare commodity, which is also contributing to the higher market for them. So if you own a detached home, you're actually sitting pretty good because they're not making as many as they used to. Especially if you own one that is in a certain price range because they're not making them smaller anymore. When they build a detached home, it's either a custom home in an older area that somebody they tore down and they're building something new, or it's a new home in a new area in specific developments of the city. And so the result of this is that land value is actually going up too. See, with the proposed changes to zoning that happened last year, that actually got approved, but we haven't seen the zoning effects come into play yet, is that people are going to be allowed to build fourplexes on land that they previously weren't able to do, which means with the change of use in land, the value will actually go up. Which means if you own property right now, again, all the factors are pointing towards your value of your home or your investment going up over time. If you don't own something, I think the pressure is starting to get on you that you probably need to buy something sooner rather than later. Now, even though we're building more row housing and single family attached homes, it's still worthwhile to get into that compared to renting. And that's my fourth point, because vacancy rates right now for rentals are at very low rates. Right now they're saying it's around 1.2, 1.5% vacancy rates, which means rent prices have gone up a lot. And you can talk to anybody who's renting right now and they will be very thankful for the rent they're paying, because when they look around at different rentals, they are much higher. And so if you are renting right now, it actually might make sense to get into the market to buy something, because there's a bit of a lag effect with the interest rates dropping that increases your buying power. But that increased rent prices comes from the past couple of years of inflation and high interest rates that were felt a couple of years ago. And so theoretically, the rent prices should come down a bit as the interest rates have come down, but usually it takes about 12 to 18 months for that effect to fully happen. And so this is also a good time to bring up that if you are a landlord, it is a good time to sign a long-term lease while rents are theoretically pretty high. Now, will the rents go up eventually? Yes, eventually they will go up higher. But in the short term, if you're looking to capitalize on making a little bit of extra cash flow, which can always be a nice little cherry on top, it's probably a good time to sign a long-term lease with tenants that are good. If you have bad tenants in, I would start working on getting them out so that A, you can get better tenants in and you can raise the rent to market level rents. So there you have it. Those are the 4 biggest things that happen in the real estate market here in Winnipeg in 2024. 2025 is poised to be a good year, so stay tuned for the next update when I talk about what I think is going to happen in the market, both in terms of investing, selling, and buying. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.